Greetings to you all. The past 2 years have definitely changed a lot about the world and a lot of how we do things. And while many things are going to return to normal, one thing is here to stay for at least a long period of time, and that is doing meetings electronically. Now, there are a lot of different programs that do that, and you may be familiar with some, such as GoToMeeting or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet. But for many people, the one that they use most frequently, especially for a lot of churches, is Zoom. And today what I want to do is walk you through the basics of using Zoom as an attendee on your computer or your phone or your tablet. And we're just going to go through the basics operation of using the key features of Zoom, and I will show them to you, and you'll not see my face for the most part. You will see a screen, and I will share the different details of what are going on. And I hope that it is helpful for you, and look forward to providing you this information, and in the future going into more detail or maybe exploring some other programs that you may interact with at some point in time and helping you do that. So without further ado, first we're going to look at how to use Zoom, the basics of Zoom, on your computer.
Say, for example, you get a message on WhatsApp with a link to a Zoom meeting. All you need to do for that is just click on the link. And let me show you. I'll open my WhatsApp, and you can see that someone sent me a link for a Zoom meeting. And if I put my mouse over top of it, whether it's in an email or a WhatsApp, I just click, and it will then open the Zoom window. And what it will do from the beginning is show you what is going to happen. And here it shows my camera and what I am looking at, and there's two buttons at the bottom. One that's blue, where I'm joining with my video, meaning with my camera on, or I can go ahead and join without my video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and join with my video and show you how to turn that off. And once we do that, the meeting will then connect right on through. And you will see this screen pop up asking you how you want to connect to audio. And the big blue button is the main one you want to join, just with your computer audio. And what I would recommend is just to click this box at the bottom that says automatically join by computer when joining. That way you don't ever see this option again. But if you're not sure if things working, you can click this test speaker and microphone, and what that will do is it will play a sound and ask you if you heard it. If you do, you click yes, and then it asks you to talk into your microphone, and you talk, and then it will repeat it back. And if you hear yourself, both things are working. And this will be different depending on whether you're using headphones like I am, or whether you're just using what's on your computer. But I would recommend just joining with computer audio and clicking that box so you don't see it again. And now we are in the Zoom meeting. And once we are in, we can see that there are other people in the meeting. Now, there might be a lot of people in the meeting. And what you'll notice is that my screen is here, showing me my screen, and there's my name that is showing up down there, and a little red symbol. And what that means is that the people in the meeting are not hearing me right now. And we're going to talk through that as we go through and how to help you do that. But the first thing I want to talk about is, what do you do if what shows up here is not your name or you don't know what it is? And so if you find yourself in the meeting, up in the upper right of your picture, there's one button that says unmute, and that will then allow me to talk in the meeting. And then if I am talking but need to be muted, I can just click that button. But the other thing you see is just this little tiny blue dots, and if you click that, it will bring up a menu to either once again mute or to stop your video. You can also do a virtual background, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Pen or self view, I'll talk about in a little bit later, but here you see rename. And here what you can click on is you can type the name that you want to appear, and depending on the meeting, I would recommend different things. If you are just meeting with family, you can just type your first name, and that is fine. Sometimes if you need that a formal setting, you may type your name with your Mr. Gibbs or something more formal. And there's different options. I recommend keeping your information private in more public meetings. So sometimes you might do a first initial and last name, or your first name and only your last initial. Something that will signify who you are if someone needs to call on you, but doesn't give all of your information. So that's how you rename. Now, as a basic attendee, there's really only a few things you need to pay attention to, and those are the two icons in the bottom left, which look like a little microphone. And when you are talking and it is on, you'll see that it is green, it's popping up and down. That's telling you that it's actively recording your audio. And then there is the video. Now, both of these will either turn off or on your sound or your video. So right now, the people in the meeting can hear me. If I want to have them not hear me, I will click that and it will mute me. And if you talk, the meeting will now remind you about that. You can also turn off your video. And when you do that, your camera turns off, and they see either your name that you put up on the screen or a picture that you have uploaded if you have a profile. Now, that is only if you make an account. If you are just attendee and don't ever log in, it will only show the name that you have entered into the system, and that is okay. You don't need a picture. Now, the other things at the bottom, participants, if you click on that, it will show you all the people who are in the meeting, and you can go through and see who is there. And when you are done looking at the participants, you click this little down arrow and close that. The next button is chat, and this is a way to talk to individuals in the meeting. And above will show all the chats that have been posted since you have been in the meeting. Of course, here there are none. And down below, you can choose who to talk to. Right now it says to everyone. So anything you type into this message box, everybody will see that message when you hit enter. And then it pops up into the screen and everybody can see that. But if you just want to chat with one person in the meeting, you have a specific question, if you click on this little arrow next to everyone, it will list all the people in the meeting, and you can go ahead and select a specific person. And now it says direct message, meaning this is only going to that person. And then you can engage. Now, I would remind you to always be careful with this, because sometimes you can forget and think you're talking to somebody and you're not. So always double check and just be appropriate and careful in your meeting. And you can ask people if your hair looks good or your shirt looks good, or Maybe you didn't hear what somebody said, and that is how it will show up. You can send emojis to people of different kinds, and you can actually save the chat after in the meeting if you want a record of that. Now, another thing you can do if you communicate with everybody is this little picture allows you to send a file from your computer. Maybe you typed something up, or you have a picture and you need to send it. You can select that here and go find it on your computer. Won't go into a lot of detail on that, but that is the option. When you are done doing the chat, you can go ahead once again, click that little arrow and close. Now, the chat will not pop up if someone sends a message. What you will see down here in the bottom is a little red circle will show up by the chat to say that somebody has said something. And if you see that, you can then open the chat and view the message. And once you're done, you can close it again as you go. Now, the rest of the buttons that show up will be very different depending on whoever's hosting the meeting, because they can choose the sorts of options that show up at the bottom. There is a share screen where you can show something on your computer, and if you click that, it will bring up a lot of different options from your computer. For one, I currently have 2 computer screens, so I can share one of those to the meeting, and that would share the entire screen. Or you can show just specific windows, like a Word document I am typing about something. Once you select it in blue, you can hit share. Although for most of you, this is not a feature that you will need. If you accidentally click on that, just click on the close button and that will be done. I'll talk to Pastor Madden, and if he wants a little more details in the future, we can definitely go over that. There may be this record option available, and what that does allow you to record this meeting for yourself. This may not always be available, but if you need a record of it, you can click that. It's not secret. It will tell everybody in the meeting that you are recording. And then sometimes there's this reactions button where you can click, and it has the option of raising your hand or a few different responses like clapping or party or emojis. And if you do raise your hand, it will show up in the upper portion of your screen, and somebody may call on you, and when you are done, you just click it again and lower your hand. So that is a way to engage with the audience. A few other things that are on the screen. Up in the upper corner, there's this view button, and this allows you one of 2 options. Either the gallery view, which puts everybody's video in a small box and fits it all over the screen. Then there's the speaker view, and the speaker view will make one big picture for whoever is talking at the time, and then everybody else shows up in smaller portions at the top. And that does not change the view on other people's computer. This only changes how you view the information. So you can choose what you like, what you prefer, and select that. So those are a lot of the big features. But let's talk a little bit more about the options that are down here at the bottom. Because if you notice, next to the microphone and the video, there are little arrows. And what those mean is that there are menus that pop up. So let's click the one next to the microphone. And this allows you to do a lot of different things. And for most of you, as long as it's working, you should not need to do anything here. But what I do want to show you is that if something's not working, this has this option to test the speaker and microphone again, so you can see if things are working. And I encourage that. But most of the rest you don't need to worry about. Now, once again, next to the video, if you click that little arrow, it will once again bring up an option to choosing the camera. And then here you can choose a virtual background. And let me show you how to do that. So first I'm going to turn my camera on. And so you can see me. And now I'm going to click that button and I'm going to choose a virtual background. Now a virtual background, you notice that behind me is my house and different things are going on. And maybe for the meeting you don't want that everything to show up. And so what you can do is go in here, and depending on how they have it set up, there's a few options. Now this person's meeting only has the blur feature, and if I click on that, what it does is you can see that it keeps me clear, but it blurs the rest of my house behind me. And if I like that, I can just close, and now in the meeting people see me, but they don't really see the house behind me. I will let you know that depending on the quality of your camera, this may or may not work as well. And there's other things you can do. The neater your background is, if it's a solid color, often the crisper it is. Or if you're further away, it's easier for the computer to separate you from the background. If you do have like a green sheet or tablecloth that you can hang up behind you, that can help as well. Now that's the blur, but suppose, for example, you wanted an actual picture behind you. And here's how you would do that. If you click the choose virtual background, there's a little button here that says add image or video. And you can either put a video or an image background. I would recommend just choosing an image. It is much simpler for your computer, and it will then open up a browser where you need to find pictures that may be on your computer. Now this will require you already have a picture on your computer, and so you will need to know where that is. I'm going to go ahead and go to where I know I have some pictures, and so here I have a lot of different pictures that I could use, and what I would want to do is pick a picture that I think would work good as a background, click on it, and then hit the word open. It will then add that picture into Zoom, and now it will show up as my virtual background. And now if I click this, in the meeting, I now show up with whatever that picture is behind. And it's better to have pictures that don't draw a lot of attention, maybe don't have people, just so you can be clear and separated in that video. But once again, if you need to do something or need to turn off your video, you just click on the bigger button and it will turn off your camera. And the icon will have a red line through it if either the camera or the microphone are not on. And the words that show up are telling you what will happen if you click on that. So if I click on this, it will unmute me. It will make it so people can hear me. For video, right now, if I click, it will start video. So it's not telling you what's currently on, but what will happen if you click it. And it will go to whatever the settings were before, and so once it will show my virtual background. And so those are most of the main details in the meeting that you need to worry about. Like I said, I'll talk to Pastor Madden, and if he wants more information added, more details on sharing or doing more activities in the meeting, we can talk about that. But hopefully this just gets you started on attending the meeting. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to leave this meeting and walk you through how to enter the same meeting using not the link that we clicked on in our WhatsApp, but actually typing in a code you may get. So when you are done in the meeting, whether it's finished or not, if you want to leave, you can click this little red button at the bottom that says leave. Now, one accidental click won't leave because it wants you to confirm that. So if you accidentally click it, you hit cancel, and you stay in the meeting. But if you do want to leave, you go ahead and click leave, and once again confirm and click leave that you are leaving the meeting. But that is how you enter if you have a link to click on. Now, if someone just sends you what's called a meeting ID, that is much different. And to do that, you will need to open the application we installed. And there's a number of different places that may be, but if you click on the Windows button on your keyboard or on the screen to bring up your apps, you may need to click the button that says All Apps, and they're usually listed alphabetically, and you will want to go all the way to the bottom because it is Zoom, and so it will show up down here. And you don't want to click Uninstall Zoom, but you want to click Zoom. That is the program to open. Now this will then come up with this basic window, and if you do have an account that you set up online, you can sign in with that. But if you don't want to have an account, that is totally fine. You just want to click this button that says Join Meeting in blue. And once you click that, it will then ask you for the meeting ID or link name. And this is where you will type the number you would have gotten. And so the meeting we were just in is 466-850-3455. Now then right below it is a box where you type the name that will show up once you go in. Now when we clicked the link, it did not give us this option, but if you type in the code, you can. And here you could decide what you want to type, and you can either have it remember your name, or you can keep that where you have to type it every time. Now it will automatically put you in with your audio on and your video on unless you click one of these. So suppose you don't want your video on when you go in, you can click this to turn off your video. I'm going to go ahead and leave them all on, and we are ready. We're going to hit join. Now what will happen then is Zoom requires a passcode, and you will also get this from the individual who sent you the meeting request. Now this could be either words or number. In this case it is a word, and you obviously can't see it because it is a password, but I have typed in the word that I was given, and once I've typed it in, then I will hit join meeting. Now if let's suppose I'm going to delete one so that it's wrong. If it's wrong, it won't let you in, and so I will need to try again, and hopefully I typed it correctly. And so now when I click, it will go in. And once again, we have this check, and you'll notice that anytime you open Zoom again, it will usually go to the last settings you use. So this has my virtual background already on, and I can choose either to join without the video on or with video, or I can change my virtual background right here before I even get in the meeting. So there's a lot of things you can do. Just make sure you're all ready to go before you walk into the meeting. It's kind of like checking yourself in a mirror before you walk out the door to go have a good time. But I'm going to go ahead and join, and it will now connect and go into the meeting like we were before. And then you will see all the same features and attributes that were present before. And that allows you in. So now you can download the application. You can get into a meeting with either a link or a code, and now you know some of the basic details of that. So let me review. Most of the view at the top shows you how you want to look at other people in the meeting, and then the microphone controls the audio or your voice. Either you mute yourself so no one can hear, or you unmute so people can hear you talk. Your video is either on, or you can turn it off and they will just see your name. and those options allow you to control and work in the meeting. So we'll stop there, and the next section of the video will walk you through many of the same processes, but on your phone or tablet.
Now what I want to do is talk through how you engage and go to a meeting on your phone or tablet. And like we did on the computer, I recommend that the first thing you do is install Zoom on your phone. And to do that, what you'll need to do is open the Google Play Store on your phone. And so you want to go into your apps and open the Play Store, and you can search at the top for Zoom, and usually if you just start typing ZO, Zoom will pop up because it is a very popular app, and it will usually be the very first option. It's Zoom Cloud Meetings by Zoom.us, and that is the one you want. Now, I already have it installed, and so it just gives me a green open button. But if you do not have it, that will say install, and you would click that button. I could go ahead and click open, but I want to walk you through how you would do that on your phone. So once again, what you would do is open where all of your apps are. You can type in the top and search for Zoom. As soon as you type a Z, it will probably show up there. Or if you just want to find it manually, you might scroll through. Your phone may have your scroll up and down or side to side, but you just go till you see the Zoom and the Zoom icon, and you will click on that, and it will open the Zoom app. And on here, you can see a few options of things to do, and the main one you'll want to do is join a meeting, and we will do that in a minute. But for the most part, once you have the app on your phone, for most of you, you will get a lot of links in WhatsApp, and you don't need to actually open the app at all. You can just go in. So for example, if you were to open your WhatsApp, and suppose you got a meeting link from somebody. So here I have a meeting link from Pastor Luke, and I will click on the blue link that shows up, and it will be connected with Zoom. You'll see web.zoom.us. You'll get it from your pastor, your church, or somebody, and by just tapping that link, it will automatically open the Zoom application, and it will then take you into the meeting. And usually on your phone, it will have at the bottom the options to either use your data or to dial in. Now, the dial in means that you actually have a phone number that you dial in, and so your voice is transferred over the phone line rather than the data. That's almost never going to be the case for you, so just click on Wi-Fi or cellular data, and now you are in the meeting. And it will generally automatically keep you muted and with your camera off right from the beginning. And those, just like it was on your computer, are in the lower two sides. And if you do want to be seen, you can click on the video, and it will now show you in a small version. It won't make you the focus. You'll be seeing more of other people. But if you do click on your picture, you can then see yourself bigger if you want to. But usually you want to see somebody else in the meeting, and so you can click on them. Of course, the other person in this meeting right now is me, and so I have the camera turned off. But you would see the speaker or the speaker's presentation that they are sharing as you see. Now, once again, a lot of the controls are the same. They just are going to look a little bit different. So you see there at the bottom the share button that you saw on the computer. It's a little bit different on here. It's mainly on the phone asking you to share a file, maybe a website, Although you can share your screen on some phones. That's not always possible, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you know what you're doing, because people will see your phone screen. But if you click that on accident, you can just click cancel in the bottom and it will go away. Most of what you need maybe is to see the participants in the meeting, the other people. And if you click on participants, instead of popping up on the side of your screen, on a phone or a tablet, it will switch completely and you can see the other people in the meeting. And if, for example, you were to click on one, you can then choose to chat with that person directly. You type the chat and it automatically goes to a chat window, and you can see at the bottom you are sending to Caleb specifically, and here you can type your message and hit the blue send option and it will go to them. If however you want to send a message to everybody, you can change and go. So that is the blue send to, and it says the person you're typing to, but if you tap that person's name, it brings up the option of sending to everyone, and you can indeed then type your message that goes to everyone and send it. Now when you are done with chat, you have to close it at the upper point and it will go back to whatever you had open, which now is the participants. If you close that, now you are back into the meeting. Now there's other ways to get to that. You'll see if you tap on your screen, the more option will bring up more meeting, and there aren't as many. Here you can claim the host. You don't need to worry about that as an attendee, but there's the chat setting again. Also those reactions like raising your hand or clapping are also available on here. If you are done with this menu, you can hit cancel or just tap above the menu and it will go away. Now on your phone or tablet, to keep your screen free, those options will not show up unless you actually tap on your screen, and then they will pop up from the bottom and your things. Now up in the top you will also see a little microphone in the upper left. Now that is the phone audio, and so while the microphone at the bottom is controlling your voice going into the meeting, that controls the sound coming from your phone. So if a meeting's going on and it's very loud and you step up to the cash register to pay, and you want to mute the meeting, you can go ahead and click that and you'll see the little X show up, and now you've muted the sound coming out of the meeting. That is not your voice, that's the microphone. This is the sound coming from the phone meeting, that's other people. So that would quiet everything coming out of your phone. But when you're ready to hear again, you tap it and it will begin to go again. Now, if, for example, you are just want to show you what it will look like, and so if the other person has their phone on, this is what you'll see, and it will be sideways. You can turn your phone sideways and try to capture that, and then it will make them bigger if they are side to side. And especially this is useful if you are watching someone's presentation, they're sharing a PowerPoint, for example, you will see much better if you turn your phone sideways, and Zoom will automatically rotate and change the settings. And if you flip it back up and down, it will rotate back and it will make everything smaller just to fit things on the screen. And so that is mostly how that will work. If you understand the settings in either computer or phone, you'll understand most of them, but I just want to show you that they are indeed in different locations, and look a little bit different, but the basic function. For most of you, the mute and video buttons are always in the bottom left, and those will control your ability to talk in the meeting or your camera, and that is what you need to know. Once again, when you are done in the meeting, you will click the red leave button on your phone or tablet. It is in the top this time instead of the bottom. And once again, it requires 2 taps. You tap it once and then you leave. And that allows you to join the meeting. And so that is how you use Zoom on a phone or a tablet. It will look the same on both, just bigger or smaller depending on the size of your device.